Hey guys, I'm so excited. Today I am actually going to do another installment in my affordable alternatives to expensive products. Today I have some SkinMedica alternatives, I have some Skinceuticals, I have some Vichy, some Lancome, I also have some Revitalash, and then I have an alternative for the viral Peter Thomas Roth, the eye tight product that you can't find anywhere. I have an alternative to that. You have to decide if the less expensive product is up to your standards as to whether or not you would consider it a good alternative. So I just want to present you with the information, and I also think it's a really, really great way to understand the cosmetics industry when we can see certain products that are identical to other products owned by the same parent company at different price points. It really is kind of an eye-opener as to the way that we can spend our money and what we perceive as value based on a brand name. When you're watching this video and I put the graphics up on the screen, anytime that you see an ingredient in bold, it means that they match. So when I side by side two products and they have bold ingredients, those ingredients are the same in each deck. So if they are not in bold, then that means that they don't share that ingredient between the two decks. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna start out with SkinMedica. Let's get right out of the gate with a really good one. So SkinMedica has a product called TNS Essential Serum. It's a cult classic. It is a growth factor cocktail and people love it. It is like $280. I personally have never tried it. I've never tried it ever because I just really never thought that spending $280 on a growth factor was worth it for me. So when I came across this one from a brand called Revive Serums, I was very, very intrigued because it has that same dual chamber as the SkinMedica product. You get 1.69 fluid ounces, and on their website it is $99. They have it where it's like marked down from $280, so obviously it's an attempt to kind of mimic the SkinMedica pricing, etc., and it's marked down to $99. It looks like it's $99 all the time. I ordered it, I bought it myself, and I tested it out, and I really like it. Now, the ingredient decks actually match up ingredient for ingredient. Then this one actually has another maybe third of the ingredient deck that is additional ingredients that the TNS Essential Serum does not have. So I've never used the TNS, so I can't compare, the texture, etc. But when I use this one, you pump it out and you get that, one side is more of a lotiony and the other side is kind of a gel serum. And when you use it on your skin, it almost turns into like a watery serum. So if you've used TNS and that sounds similar, it glides and spreads so easily. In fact, the very first time that I used it, I used like 4 pumps and it was way too much. I did not need that. I mean, it spread and it sunk in and it was fine. It's not tacky. It's not sticky. It leaves your skin just feeling really much like skin. It just soaks in like a serum, a nice serum, but I didn't need that much. I could definitely see doing 1 pump, maybe 2 to go all the way down, and you would get great coverage with it. So that's the texture of it, is a really silky, lightweight serum. So this one is one that I definitely think is a really interesting alternative to the TNS. Now, you may not think that it's possible for there to be a dupe for the TNS. This is where you have to take the ball and decide for yourself if it's worth investigating, and if at that, I don't know what, 1/3 the cost is worth kind of checking out. Now, I did reach out to them after I started using this, bought it with my own money, and I didn't use anybody's discount. I didn't have a discount or anything. And I applied for their affiliate program. I was accepted and I was able to get a discount code also. So I will put that in the description box. Essentially, it gets you 7% more off of that $99, bringing it down to what, $93 or something like that. So it is very, very much less expensive than TNS. This is definitely one to check out if that is something that you love. So that is the Revive Serums Ultimate Serum with Revive Fibromedia, stem cells, peptides, and growth factors. Definitely love that one, and I will be repurchasing it for sure. Now, the next one that we'll do is the dupe for the Peter Thomas Roth. There is a product that is called, let me see, it's like FirmX, I think it is. eye, and then they have one for the face. And basically it uses sodium silicate to kind of tighten the skin. You have probably seen it all over Instagram with influencers showing the lady that had, you know, pretty decent under eye bags, and then she used the Peter Thomas Roth product and it kind of smoothed out her under eyes. Now, a couple years ago, I actually did a video on that product and I had it on YouTube. I actually took it off of YouTube because I didn't really think that that was a skincare product. I really thought that it was kind of like a temporary fix, and I didn't want people to confuse it with skincare and think that they were going to get long-term results from that. But it was interesting to see it go viral a couple years later, and of course now you cannot find it anywhere. But if you look for that specific ingredient and that sodium silicate, you can find it in other products. Now, if you find that in other products, you may be able to get that same effect. So what I found was the Strivectin. This is the Hyper Lift Eye. Now, this is a very, very similar concept to the Peter Thomas Roth. I am not trying to tell you that that product is necessarily good or bad, but I do think that a lot of people really, really like the effect that it gives temporarily if you have under eye bags, etc. What it does is when you use the very smallest amount, you get this kind of contraction of the tissue, which will temporarily make the skin look smooth. It washes off at night, it does not last, and it is not going to give long-term skin benefits. In fact, in my opinion, it may actually dehydrate the tissue a little bit, and so it's probably best reserved for special occasions. That's my personal opinion as an esthetician. Now, this one actually does definitely do that tightening, and it does leave that white powdery cast, just like the Peter Thomas Roth did if you use too much. If you use a really tiny little amount, you can actually get a little bit of that tightening and you end up with that same smoothed look. You just have limited options after that as far as doing, you know, like makeup and skincare, etc. My friend Anne from the channel Ann P Makeup More, she did one with the Peter Thomas Roth and she showed how she uses her concealer after and all of that stuff. I'm going to link that video in the description box. Actually did a really fantastic job of showing how you can use a product like this and then still use a little bit of concealer, because a lot of us need not just the tightening and the smoothing, etc., but we also need concealer. So I will definitely link that in the description box. But that is a great alternative if you've been really, really wanting to try that Peter Thomas Roth product and you haven't been able to get your hands on it. So that is the Strivectin Hyper Lift Eye Instant Eye Fix, which is a fantastic alternative to the Peter Thomas Roth viral product that nobody can find. Okay, next we're going to do a little bit of Lancome. Lancome has a vitamin C that I'm sure is quite popular among people who love Lancome. And I'm going to pull it up here so that we can look at it. Let's see, I will put it up on the screen. What I think is very, very important to know about Lancome is that L'Oreal actually owns Lancome. They are the parent company. And L'Oreal owns a lot of other companies. So it's pretty safe to say that you can often find other products in the L'Oreal brand catalog that match up to some of their other brands. So you can look at their higher end brands like Lancome, and you can often look to their mid-range brands that maybe their lower end brands and find a counterpart to those higher end that match up pretty closely. So with the Lancome Vitamin C product, I found that they have another brand, which is Vichy, which you may recognize. You can see it at Walgreens. You can find it, you know, all over the place in pharmacies and in drugstores. Now, it is not inexpensive, but it is slightly less expensive than Lancome prices. So this is the Vichy. The interesting thing about this is that the Vichy comes in a 0.34 size, and that is about half the size that the Lancome Vitamin C is. When you double this and you end up with the same size as the Lancome, it's about $8 cheaper for the same exact size for the same product. I mean, they match, the ingredient deck matches ingredient for ingredient until you get to the last two in the Lancome, and it has 2 additional ingredients that are not exactly the same to the Vichy. So you can save about $8 if you really love that Lancome, but on top of that, you can buy this in batches where it is half the size and kind of ensure that you have, you know, a fresh vitamin C, because both of them are ascorbic acid, and ascorbic acid tends to be not super stable. So having it in this smaller size, and you know, so you don't go through this double this size all at once, is actually kind of one of those things that I think is a benefit to in a vitamin C, especially when it's not stable. Let's take it one further. It Cosmetics is also owned by L'Oreal. It Cosmetics has their Bye Bye Dullness. It's the vitamin C. It's exactly the same ingredient deck as this one and also as the Lancome. Some of the ingredients in the very bottom of the deck are moved around a little bit. You will see that the Pinaster bark bud extract is in a little bit of a different spot in each of them in the bottom, but essentially they are the same ingredient deck. So the It Cosmetics is actually 0.85 ounces, so it's larger than both of these in total, and it is about half the cost. It's $29. So you can get the exact same vitamin C for half. So you've got your Lancome, if we want to skip 1-to-1. You've got your Lancome, which is $65 for 0.66 ounces. And then you've got your It Cosmetics, which is essentially the same product owned by the same parent company, which is 0.85 ounces for $29. So you can see where you kind of can look in a company and see their various price levels, and you are often able to find matching products. So that one was really interesting to me, and I think that that's just a good lesson to really kind of investigate who owns what and then kind of peruse their brands for matches, because it definitely happens all the time. Moving on, we are going to talk about eyelash serums. Now, recently I did a video on Revitalash, and I talked about how prostaglandins work. I will link that video in the description box, but I was talking about it for hair growth. Now, I also mentioned that I use Revitalash on my eyelashes. I really love it. I know that it works, that prostaglandin is in there. That is the same thing that makes Latisse work. Latisse has just got a stronger concentration of prostaglandin, but Revitalash has it. There are other eyelash serums on the market that also contain prostaglandin, and then there are some that don't, that are just conditioners for your eyelashes, etc. That's great if that's what you're looking for, but what you need to know is that when you're buying one for really growing your lashes and getting them thicker, longer, fuller, possibly with more pigment, then you need to look for that prostaglandin. Now, there are contraindications and there are things that you need to know about, you know, eyelash serums and their potential side effects. Those are things that you need to research. But if you know that you like them with the prostaglandin, it is important to note that there are alternatives. One in particular that I found that looks really interesting to me that I'm going to order when I'm done with my Revitalash is actually by a brand called Eyelash. Now, Eyelash has the exact same prostaglandin as the Revitalash. What I do think is interesting, I'm going to put them both up on, I'm going to put the comparison on the screen. What you need to know is phenoxyethanol is highlighted or it's in bold and it's underlined because phenoxyethanol is a marker ingredient. When you see phenoxyethanol in an ingredient deck, you know that everything that comes after that ingredient is going to be at 1% or less. Phenoxyethanol is not allowed in an ingredient deck, in a product, over 1%. So it's a really great way to kind of break our ingredient decks down and understand percentages. So that tells me that in Revitalash, the prostaglandin is just a little ways after the phenoxyethanol. In the Eyelash, it's the same thing. It's just a little bit after the phenoxyethanol. So even though we see that the prostaglandin is way at the bottom of the list with the Eyelash, it really is probably about the same percentage as in the Revitalash because we see its kind of relation to phenoxyethanol. So I think that that's something that's really important to know and understand. And also take note of the name of that prostaglandin, and search yourself. If there are other, eyelash serums that you really love, check and see, is that in the ingredient deck? Put that ingredient into Inky Decoder and see the other names that that goes by so that you know when you are searching for an eyelash serum, if it has that ingredient in it or not, that's actually going to make your lashes grow. Otherwise, you might be just wasting your money on lash serums that will do nothing but condition your eyelashes. Okay, the next one is for Skinceuticals, and this one is kind of interesting. I was sent this one. This is their Phloretin CF. And I actually was going to give it away because I really have a hard time with vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid or L-ascorbic acid. But I decided I was going to try this because Phloretin it's an antioxidant, but it can be very, very soothing. And so I thought, I'm just going to give it a shot. Even though, honestly, the Phloretin version of this is kind of recommended for normal or combination or oily skin, I thought I'm going to try it out, especially because it's stinking expensive and they sent it to me. So I thought I'll give it a shot. I have to say that it's very, very, very unlikely that I would ever end up rebuying it because at $168 for this, that's just a lot for me. I find that to be a lot. So I was kind of dismayed when I really felt like I started to notice that it was brightening my skin. I'm down to where I've been using it now for a few weeks and I feel like I'm noticing a brightness to my skin. And I'm using it along with other things, but I haven't been changing a ton in my routine other than this and this. And I'm really noticing a nice change in my skin. Okay, so that got me looking for other products that contain Phloretin that are kind of similar. That got me to Cosmetic Skin Solutions. Now, these two are not going to be absolutely identical, but it's not open, you guys, because I'm not going to open it until I'm through my Skinceuticals, and then I will give this one a shot. But this one is also 10% ascorbic acid. It has 1% of the Phloretin, which the Skinceuticals has 2%. And then this one has asiatic acid, which is, it is like Centella asiatica. It comes from Centella asiatica, which can be very, very soothing, just really great for your skin. And then this one also has glutathione, and I love glutathione. Glutathione is another really profound antioxidant that can help with brightening your skin and pigment inhibiting. And this time of year, I am always all about clearing all of the pigment that I collected over the summer inevitably. So I'm really, really excited to give this one a go, and I think that this is an excellent alternative to this, even though they are not identical. I will put the ingredients up next to each other on the screen, of course, but you will see that it's not like the whole decks match up, but this at that price compared to this at this price is certainly worth giving a go, which is why I ordered it. So when I am done with this one, I will definitely give this one a shot and I will report back and let you know. But if you are somebody who has used this and loved it and it just feels like, wow, spending that much money is, it's just a big output, it's certainly worth looking into Cosmetic Skin Solutions. The last one is actually, I found this kind of, I don't know, I was down some kind of a rabbit hole and Alicia Keys has a skincare line, and I love her. I think she's fantastic. But she has this one product. I'm going to look at my notes really quickly. She has this one product. It's a facial moisturizer. It looks like it's a really, really nice niacinamide, and it has bakuchiol, it has ceramides, it has panthenol, it has sodium hyaluronate. It has some really beautiful ingredients. And it is 1.76 ounces for $30. So it's not like it is crazy, crazy, crazy over the top expensive by any means. But what I thought was really, really interesting is it is a very close match to the e.l.f. relatively new Holy Hydration Face Cream. Now, I did go out and buy this one and I tested it out, and it is really a beautiful, beautiful, silky, lightweight, but super hydrating moisturizer, you guys. It's really a nice offering from e.l.f. Now, this is 1.8 ounces, so it's a tiny, tiny bit more for $12. So it's, a little less than a third, or a little, little more than a third of the cost of the Alicia Keys product. What is important to know is that the e.l.f. product does not have bakuchiol, which is a plant-based kind of vitamin A option. It's not actually vitamin A, but it can kind of behave in the skin like a vitamin A. There aren't a lot of studies about bakuchiol or anything like that, but if that's something that's interested you, that's in the Alicia Keys product, but it's not in the e.l.f. And then the Alicia Keys product does also have some ceramides, and it has cholesterol, and this one doesn't. So there's a good chance that the Alicia Keys might be just a little bit better for your barrier than this one. But if you're using them just as a basic moisturizer, this one might be a really great option. If you like the Alicia Keys, it might be something to check out. Or if you were interested in the Alicia Keys, you just need to know that there are some key differences, but there's a lot of similarities. I just find sometimes it's fascinating to see an ingredient deck match up like that, because it's like, wow, the base formula is obviously really similar. And then Alicia Keys has added in some really special ingredients that are differentiators. But, you know, it would be up to you to decide if those are things that are worth it enough for you to pay 3 times the amount of money as this one. So that is the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Face Cream, fragrance free. And you guys, I gotta say, for 12 bucks for 1.8 ounces, it's a beautiful moisturizer. It is lightweight. It is not greasy in any way. It leaves the skin really nicely prepped for makeup. You still have to wear sunscreen. It does not have a sunscreen in it, and it's fragrance free. It's a really beautiful product. Okay, you guys, those are all that I have for today. I actually have several more, so I am going to do a part 2. I just did not want this video to be forever long. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that what you take away from this is just the kind of ability to compare these things and educate ourselves on the industry and be informed consumers. It's totally okay if you like the expensive stuff. It's okay if you think that this cream that costs X dollars does this, and this for you. Everything is personal when it comes to skincare. Everybody has a different budget and has different things that they're looking for and different priorities, and that is okay. But I definitely think that it is good to be informed and to understand the industry, and that sometimes some things are worth the money and some things are simply, you know, duplicates of less expensive things. So there you go. I hope that you're all having a really wonderful week. I am clearly getting over sickness, and hopefully I'll be 100% soon. I will talk to you all in my next skincare video. Take care.